Okay, good evening, guys. I believe that most of us are here already. Trust your day have been nice. Okay, so let's continue from where we stopped. Yeah, Dora, you are welcome. Everybody online, you are welcome. We continue from where we stopped. Uh, so last night we've talked about some guys and the way they viewed traditional communication. We talked about the ones that dopes that says we have 12 channels. We talked about those that said we have six. Talked about several perspectives of people. We talked about the channels of communication in one way or the other. If you uh okay, Mr. Case, I don't know. Okay. Don't worry. I will open it later on, but not now. So everybody will be able to chat. This one that material is refusing to open like this. What's wrong? Shouldn't be this. Let's hold on to. Okay, I think I will. Let me try to open it in another place. Okay, I think I will need to. Okay, it's coming up now. Sorry for this delay. I hope my network will allow us tonight. We need to finish Mark 115 tonight, so we'll focus tomorrow on Mark 111. Okay. Mm, okay, we're almost there. Sorry for the delays. So, why this is happening, let's try to refresh ourselves on what we learned in last night's class. We talked about some notable men when it comes to the field of communication, several people with their own perspective. Dope says we have 12. Dora, are you there? What is the first step of Dope's his own submission for the channels of communication we have? We studied about that man, Dopes. He was one that arranged it in cyclical form using some circles and a kind of a chart or diagram. He listed 12 of them, starting with what must be available first before anything called communication can take place, and what was the last thing on his own submission. He listed 12, so let's just use that as what was really wrong with this document of a thing today. Let me try to open it on the external this thing. You are probably going to have this is taking too long. If you use the whole time to open material, how do you want to? And unfortunately, it took us back to module one. I think it's up now. All right, but that's too slow. Yes, thank you, Kenneth Chukwu. Is communicator. Good evening, class captain. Communicator is the first one. Communicator is the first one because without somebody that want to pass a message, what's the essence of communicating? You will not. There won't be a message without someone that want to pass the message. So that is an important part of it. That yesterday we talked about overview of visual channels of communication. Okay, no, we've not talked about that. We actually talked about module 2, classifications of traditional channels, where several people gave their own classification. I think verbal and non-verbal, we've touched that too, and we've tried to compare them. What we should go to today is module 3, overview of visual channels of communication, where we will talk about the visual channels, the iconographic channels, the instrumental channels. What we want to do now is just to continue studying what the last man, who was the last man we talked about yesterday? I think that was Wilson, who combined all other submissions, all other concepts from the different authors or scholars that have spoken. I think it was Wilson that bind everything together and added like 3 to them. So under Wilson's submission, we studied a table last night where we talked about the particular channel we're talking about, the hardware, that is, and then we have the channel and instrument. Okay, I think we should stop all this and go straight to refresh our brain a bit. Where is that topic? Okay, let me just search for verbal and non-verbal. So that will take us to that module 2 straight. Okay, yes, here we are. We have the module 2 here. Okay. No. I didn't allow you to get to module 2. All this. So yesterday we talked about, let's quickly go to like a summary to refresh our brain. We talk about this Winelli in 1983. We talked about okay, his own was not something to dwell much about, but I think he gave something very important about hardware and software. He came up with the idea of hardware and software. We moved to Dopes, the man that gave 12 in a cyclical order. Then we moved to Omu. Omu was one that talked about 2 groups, oral communication or informal transference, which means oral communication is also known as informal transference. And he also said the other one is formal transference media or organized communication. That was according to Omu. But we have some people who did not agree with Omu, like Ore. Ore divided it into interpersonal, face-to-face, intergroup, and then mass level. According to Ore, Ore was one that owns the idea of interpersonal communication, face-to-face communication, intergroup communication, and mass level communication. Well, we come down to Nigerian scholars, where we talked about Ibagere. Ibagere was the first person when we come to our own side here, and according to him, he talked about verbal and non-verbal. I think he was one that started giving us examples of things that fall under the verbal and non-verbal side. Then we move to the man called Wilson. Wilson combined both the ideas of Dobbs, Ore, and Ubagere together to come up with these classes, hardware, and channels or instruments used in each class. We talked about his last night. I think he gave about 10 of them, if we're able to remember. So, and we've studied this table last night. Please go and watch the video if you missed it. So, okay, that was Wilson. Akpabio was one that synthesized everything. Okay, that was the man I was trying to recall. In 2003, he synthesized everything that every other scholar has submitted. And from his own, we will come to agree that it was through Akpabio's classification that we will start talking about each classification under Akpabio's submission in the next module. I think we've done this verbal and non-verbal of a thing last night. If I am, I think, yes, we talked about them, where we talked about the things we have under the verbal, any communication that you use your mouth. Yes, I can remember we've done that. Any communication that you can use your mouth, that you give sound, speech comes out of your mouth. Excuse me, those are called verbal communication. So the verbal one has to do with speeches you give from your mouth, the words that come out of your mouth. But we also have the non-verbal. It's more than speaking. So action speaks louder than words. Actions, I think that one is not something that serious. Every one of us should know that one, even from our normal day-to-day conversation. You know what the answer is. Action speaks louder than. So non-verbal communication is sharing meaning with others non-linguistically. That means you remember that under verbal, we talked about linguistic as part of example, the speech as part of verbal communication. But non-verbal has to do with any other type of communication that is non-linguistically. Non-linguistically. Let's test ourselves if we can hold this. So that is the idea of non. Oh, sorry, I didn't get that well. I want to copy something. So the verbal, word of mouth, linguistic, like we have songs under the verbal communication. Songs is part of it. Then we have the non-verbal, non-linguistical means of communicating. So under that, we will talk about the classification by Bagiri. He classified non-verbal communication mode into body language, symbolography, dance, music, and the hardware of music, which is the idiophone, membranophone, the cordophone and aerophone, and so on and so forth. I think if you remember under that classification table, when we talked about the aerophone. Every example given there were things that you kind of blow air into them to produce sound. So don't forget, in case they're asking you this particular uh, instrument belongs to which class or to which hardware. So channels of non-verbal communication, body language or gesture is one of them. You know that one. That one is like the commonest one. In fact, when we talk about non-verbal communication, the first thing that comes to your mind is body language. So body language is not peculiar to Africa, but is commonly used in Africa for communication. So body language refers to all signs and gestures made with any part of human body for the purpose of communication. So any part of your body that you suddenly turn to a communicator, you are using body language. In Africa, that one is something we will know it because our parents, they are masters in that. So essentially, body language involves actions such as facial contortions, walking, and other movements which are used to communicate messages. Which are used to communicate messages. So that one is not something to dwell much. I know some of these things are things that you are used to. I don't think this course in any way should give you guys headache to pass, even if you did not read it. Well, God will help us. Let's not always depend on that. But I believe that there are some of your courses that even general knowledge, without opening book, you should score 30 in them. So communicating with parts of the face and other parts of human body. Part of the human body such as the face, fingers, eyes, head, nose, and lips constitute media of communication. Constitute media of communication. You might not know, but you are knowing now. So below are various forms of the facial expressions we have that can help us to communicate, or that we use in communicating. So let me go through them briefly. We have facial communication. This one, you know this one because your parents like doing that, especially mothers. Hey, mothers. I know all our sisters said they will understand that one because African mothers, if they do their eye like this, the children already know what that means. Nobody will teach you that your mother will seldom do or position her eyes in such a way, but when you see it, automatically you will know that this eyes biko. So I have a question there for you guys to try your best on. So on the eyes and face are the most immediate cues for or used to form first impressions. This is very apart from African mothers. If for instance you offer me something, you understand, we humans, we tend to do this a lot. Somebody want to give you something or a gift or anything, you find out that instead of you to focus on the gift, sometimes you'll be more concerned about the tone, the expression on the person's face, to know that is this thing truly coming from this person's mind, or this person is not happy giving me this thing. People tend to study that naturally without being a psychologist or anything. You find out that usually happen when somebody wants to offer you something, especially when it's a free offer or something. Or maybe probably you are just coming back from the school, and then maybe one of your neighbors was just passing by with his car or her car, and probably you say, please, maybe you beg for a lift or so. You find out that when you enter the car, you want to study the person's face, that is this person happy to offer me this lift? Why? Because the facial expression will give you some cues. Is a form of communication. You understand how the person feels from this face. So that is it. So on facial expression, Rothwell in 2000 stated that the face is your personal billboard. Oh my goodness, I love this. So it never gets totally hidden. The thing is, sometimes you you may want to fake it, like let me sha let this person not um excuse me. So you no want somebody to know your real color at that time, or even if you want to do that, you won't be able to do it. Let me not lie to you, because at the end you will still show that thing, that the way the thing is in your mind. So the face is your personal billboard. Rothwell in 2000. So furthermore, according to Rothwell, eye contact is an important aspect of non-verbal communication. For instance, stress can be measured by how often someone blinks. Stress can be measured by how often someone blinks. I know now these are the kind of things they like. Something you think is just is it not just a statement that they just borrowed and put in the material. So we have another question there. So thus non-verbal cue may suggest relaxed demeanor, while another non-verbal cue contradicts the observation. So this conclusion may be shaky. Eye contact regulates controversial turn taking, communicates involvement and interest, manifests warmth and establishes connection with others. Just imagine your mom calling you, sorry, scolding you. Probably she called you to scold you for something you did wrong in the morning, and you are in her front pressing phone. She was scolding you and you were not even maintaining eye contact. Although in Africa, if you maintain eye contact, they will stone you with shoe, because that one is another insult on them. In where that is based on Africa belief that your parents are talking to you and you're looking them like this, eyeball to eyeball. As mass communication students, you go hear them that day. They will stone you with their shoe or whatever, anything that is close to them, the way African people do. So the right way to communicate to someone is you maintain eye contact with the person that is that shows that you are involved in what this person, you are interested in what this person is saying. So that is on non-verbal communication. Another one is touch communication. Don't forget, we have been listing them. We started with what under non-verbal communication. We have talked about eye contact. That was the second one, but that was the first one we mentioned was what? Let's see if you guys are still here. What was the first non-verbal method of communication we mentioned at the beginning? Yes, those of you that are chatting. What is the first method? Facial communication. Thank you. So we have eye contact. Then we have touch communication. Touching skin is an enormously powerful and important communication code. American playwright Tennessee Williams testified to the power of touch when he wrote, "Devils can be driven out of the heart by the touch of a hand on a hand or a mouth on a mouth." Goodness, this is amazing. So, you know, okay, let me give you an example. If somebody Grace is begging for the chat to be open for everyone. Help me beg them too to subscribe. Nothing will do them. 3K will not kill you. We still have a lot of courses to do this new semester. We are not stopping. We'll make sure we go together strongly like this until we graduate in the 4 years we have. So, assuming someone is trying to, okay, let me just say something. Let's say I want to give you an advice, and I just stood there, you sat opposite me, and I was just, giving my professionalism. I was just talking, everything the way I know and the rest of them. And someone that just came and first of all tap your shoulder and said, "I understand you. I understand you." You see that touch alone, especially if it's a professional. For instance, you go to a very professional person that people know a lot, and that person wants to probably advise you or give an advice, or probably maybe somebody you have been even dying to touch. You have been wishing, "Oh, I wish I would see this person one day," and then the person just touch you and say, "I understand your situation, but you see that touch alone, anything the person says, your head is already calm. Like so there is power in touch. So that is another non-verbal way of communicating. Well, those of you, when you see touch communication, the thing that your mind will go to, those of you that are corrupt, is romance. Because you feel like when you and your boyfriend start touching yourself now, even without saying anything to each other, communication has started. You better go and repent. So touch is essential to the expression of love. warmth, intimacy, and concern for others. Misuse of touch can repel, frighten, or anger others. Misuse of touch can repel or anger others. Imagine you going on the road and somebody just grab your hand like that. You don't know the person for no reason. Or you as a lady, a guy just tap you at the back on your ass. You know that something will happen that day. Ladies, they can fight with their last breath when that kind of thing happens. So sexual harassment is often an issue of inappropriate, unwanted touch communication, while handshake is most often wanted touch communication. So please let's note that, and a sign of friendship. You know, in major cultures in the world, men always shake when they meet each other, even when you don't know the person before. Even when you don't know the person before. I think the commonest mode of communication among men in Africa is always this handshake. It's handshake. So I have another question there. Okay, so many people have been. I think even Mr. Case begged that we should open the chat. Our class captain has also begged that the chat should be open. All right. I think they are more powerful than I am here. They own the class. So let's see. How did I set it that day? Let's see how we can set it and allow everybody to chat so that it's going to be more fun. We have a lot to do. Sincerely, we have a lot to do. So, guys, you have it. So let's continue. Let's continue. So we will go to the next one: voice communication. Another non-verbal. Okay, voice is second only to face in communicating emotion. Voice is second only to face in communicating emotions. Hmm. That statement mm, is somehow strong. Okay, so voice communicates information about age, sex, socio-economic status, ethnicity, and regional background. Vocal cues, that is para language, are divided into three. The vocal cues, which are para language, are divided into three. There are vocal characteristics, that is laughing, yelling, mourning, crying, or whining, or belching. You should be careful when you see this kind of thing. They are likely going to ask you in OBJ, which of the following is not a vocal characteristic? So when they put laughing, yelling, mourning, and maybe dancing, you should know which one is odd. When we talk about when we are talking about voice communication, you know that we are talking about non-verbal. You may be wondering that there shouldn't be voice communication in non-verbal aspect of or channel or means of communicating. But the voice we are talking about here is not you talking or communicating with someone like kind of giving a speech. We have some things we do with our voice, like when you laugh now, that is considered voice, but it's not communicate, like it's not speech. So when you laugh, it either means you are mocking someone or you are laughing to something interesting, maybe a comedy. So you see now, you've communicated. You've shown that if it's to mock someone, that is one communication. If it's to react to a comedy, if it is to react to a comedy, it shows that you are appreciating the work of the person entertaining you. So when we talk about okay, the first thing we should know here is that we said the vocal cues, which are also called para language or para language, they are divided into three. I have some things to test you guys here, so you just permit me to do that. Oh, that did not work. I need to do that again. I need to do that again. So kindly list all the vocal cues. Sorry, not the vocal cues. The vocal characteristics that we have. Let's list them in the chat box while I drop some questions too. And then I have okay, so we have a question there. We have a question there. I want you guys to respond to that question before. Okay. Okay. So I have another thing I want to do here. Mm, don't worry, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, so we have a pool there. You guys should attempt it while I continue the class. So they are vocal. So we have the vocal cues, also called parent language. They are divided into three. We have the first one, the vocal characteristics, which contains laughing, yelling, moaning, crying, whining, and belching. I want you guys to look for the meaning of the word belching because I know some of you don't know what it means. So let's not assume that everybody knows what it means. So let's look for the meaning of belching. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. So after that one, we have vocal qualifiers. First one, vocal characteristics. Second one, the vocal quali- qualifiers, which we have volume. When you are talking, the volume you use also communicates. You see, there are some things you don't even consider communication that are sound communication. Like when you talk now, this I know some people usually complain about that, especially with me. When you come to my DM and you ask me any stupid question, I get annoyed instantly. And the way the volume I will use. And the reason is that I'll be there coding all through the day. Then somebody will come and ask me that why is it that the morning is starting from 6 a.m. to as you know, when you know now you that your head is hot and somebody will just come and be asking you silly questions. The way I will blast you, you will fear. So volume. So some I think like two ladies like that will say, Mr. Sam, I don't like the way your volume is. And then I'll apologize and say, the thing is, it's not really that my volume is like that naturally. It's just when you people come and be asking me questions I don't expect you to ask. It's funny. So I think that's we let's end the pool now so that it will allow us. It's enough. You guys must have voted. You guys must have done. I hope there is nobody that chose anything aside singing. So that is all. So we have this. So for the vocal qualifiers, that is where you have uh, volume, tone, the pitch, the resonance, the rhythm, and the rate at which you talk. I think I asked someone to help us check for the meaning of belching. Thank you, Dora. Belching is the release of gas from the digestive tract through the mouth. It's usually caused by swallowing air, which is common when eating or drinking quickly, chewing gum, or smoking. Emits gas noisily. Can you guys tell us in African language? We have something we call belching in our own tongues here. If even if it's in your own language, you know it. Maybe Igbo or Yoruba say it or Hausa. That belching we're talking about, what is it? What you? I know from this now, some of you already understand what they're trying to say. What kind of reaction is that, or what kind of body? Ah, ah, that that person knows it, but that is not the spelling of the hiccups you want to say or you want to write. Igunfe. Pebi TV. If Pebi TV is not married, let me just come to your house and ask for your hand in marriage. You understand it, pa. You guys should not mind me. I'm not looking for a wife here too. So let's continue. Okay, I have another thing I want to ask us. So let's make it a bit more interactive. I have another thing I want to ask us. So so we have another thing here that will help us understand what we just finished learning now. So when you say resonance, we have rate. So we have so you have another pool there to attempt, and let's see how that will go. Who is this one that say he cough? Cough okay. Níbo la tún já ọ̀dà Jeremiah? Let me look for wife for Jeremiah. It's like Jeremiah needs a wife because for somebody to be saying he cough, if you go and write he cough for none in exam, none will he cough you. So let's move on. So under the vocal qualifiers, we have the volume at which your speech is coming, the tone you use, the pitch of your sound, the resonance, the rhythm, and the rate of your speech. That is under vocal qualifiers. Then the last one is vocal segregates. We have the vocal segregates. In other words, we have three vocal cues or paralanguage: the vocal characteristics, the vocal qualifiers, and the vocal segregates, the three of them. So you guys should list them in the chat box. List the three vocal cues we have. List the three of them we have, and let's see how far you guys are. Okay, let me help you guys. I've dropped the question, so you try to attempt it. Okay, so what are the vocal segregates? What are the examples? Oh, oh, shh. You know how those things. Some of you are so good in this. You know how to use it, pa. Any small thing, you give segregate. Any small thing, you are so used to it. In fact, that is like the fuel you use in your own communication. So when you are doing that, you know that is not like you giving a speech. So it's those are cues. They are non-verbal cues, and they fall under the vocal segregate. I think it is clear now. When it comes to the resonance, the volume of your speech, the tone you use, you are talking about qualifiers. When we talk about some actions like laughing, yelling, mourning, you are talking about characteristics. Then when you come about giving some sign, when you are sighing like no other stuff you do, those are segregate. So those are the three paralanguages we have under the vocal cues. So I think we'll study something important in that place. So on voice speech, a whispering soft voice may indicate speech anxiety. Well, they are just trying to give you some more. But I think there is something I'm saying about that the Germans. Okay, I think we should read this place. They are trying to. Okay, now they are now trying to pick each of those things one by one, like the speech rates, all those things mentioned under the three paralanguages we have. But I want us to read some things that may be important. So we said Israel. Sorry, should we start? Okay, Israelis. They are the first one. Israelis view high volume as a sign of strong beliefs on an issue. So it means using high volume to speak in Israel shows that you have strong belief in what you are saying. In Germany, the Germans assume a commanding tone that projects authority and self-confidence. So when the tone is high in Germany, to them it shows a commanding tone, somebody with authority speaking. In Thailand, Japan, and Philippines, they speak very softly, so almost in a whisper. So this connotes good manners and education. In Thailand, in Japan, in Philippines, because they speak very calmly or in a soft way, to them that is a sign of respect or uh, manners, or a kind of to show that you are educated. So to them, you don't shout too much if you are an educated person. Shey una hear all of you when they shout Chinedu, you talk in a sort. Well, some of you are even used to that because all your life the kind of films you have been watching has been Philippine, Korean movies, and the rest of them. So laughing signals joy in Japan. What they're just trying to do is that each of those things we've mentioned under the vocal characteristics, the vocal qualifiers, and then the vocal segregates, they are trying to fix them into different cultures, how different cultures look at them. And you know, none are very, very sorry, none is what is should we use R for none? Or none is very funny. They may come up with something you are not expecting. So if you say we should jump this part now, gbongon, uh next thing you see is 5 questions will come out from here. So let's just check each of those culture and the way they, like in Japan now, they may ask you that signals joy in Japan. Those are the ways questions can come out from this place. So okay, I think we should end the pool now. You guys did not remind me that I've created a pool. So dash signals joy in Japan. What is that? Let's try to answer that. Okay, so that is now in Africa, ladies are expected to speak in soft tones, while men are to speak in a commanding tone. Okay, now continue. Like the Germans, to project authority and self-confidence. So abeg, ladies, when they ask you to on Thursday that in Africa ladies are are to speak in dash tones, don't go and say because you disagree you now go and write another thing there. You are joking with your 1 mark. If you disagree with them, disagree outside the exam, not inside the exam. So in Africa, ladies, you guys should be speaking in soft tones, while men, let your voice be coarse. You speak like oh, so that they know you're a man. Your voice will be oh. Well, let's move on. When people are angry, they speak in very high tone, and when someone is in danger, the voice could also decimate such information. So that is all on voice communication. All these things we have been saying in the past 10 or so minutes is all on voice communication under non-verbal communication. So we'll now talk about just see, I'm not just dwelling on this part of the material for nothing's sake. You can see that this is not the only thing in your material, but I've tried to dwell on this classification, then verbal and non-verbal. It's because over the previous semesters, we've always seen a trend of repeated questions from this part. We are not saying that everything they will ask you on Thursday will be from this part, but at least be expecting so many questions from this part. So I will pray that that will happen. So many gestures. Okay, we'll go to gestural communication, which is, can you okay, let's try to do this. List the ones we've mentioned thus far. We started with the facial communication. Then we'll move to what? What is this the second one? What is the second one? Let's try it. Let's try the second one. I'm expecting you guys to give me the types of non okay first facial, touch, then voice. Thank you. The fourth one is gestural. Now that is, those are gestures you give. Sometimes when communicating with others, we often wriggle, fidget, finger tap, hand wave, toe tap, and arm fling, body in motion, and the rest of them. These are gestures, and they come naturally to us. According to Rothwell in 2000, many gestures are unconscious manifestation of inner feelings. This guy Rothwell, he tried to, he has given us some vital points. So that is a question to test you guys. So those are gestures. You know what gestures. So if they say the following are examples of gestural communications, you should know what they are trying to say. Yeah, somebody is asking what we are doing. We're actually doing MAC115, and we are in that module that talks about verbal and non-verbal communication, classification of. That is module 2. Let's just say it like that. That is module 2. Okay, so let's see. Uh, don't worry, we'll be having a lot of answering of questions tonight. No vex. This is the last class we'll be holding. That is why on this course. So let's look at this, guys. Mm, okay, so we have let's take time for you to digest. Okay, let's answer. What's the correct answer? You should just okay. I think it's back. It's back, but my screen is no longer showing. So uh, um, okay. All right, we have the screen back. It should show very soon. Okay, the screen is now showing. So those are manipulators. They don't have any specific meaning. So let's go straight to the illustrators. Illustrators are gestures that help explain what a person says to another person. You see, from their name self, you'll be able to sense what they mean. So if they ask you tomorrow anything that has to do with deceit or anything, you should definitely know they're talking about the manipulator. Then the illustrator, the one that gives explanation, and then I think we'll go to the last one, which is okay. Before that, there is this zigzag. Yes, that's very important. Let's not leave that detail. Telling a person to go to the left, then pointing in the appropriate direction is an example of illustrator. So when you are telling somebody, please move to that side, you've already said move to that side, but you adding your hand gesture to show the side you are telling the person, that is illustrator. You are illustrating. Now, describing how to zigzag while drawing the movement in the air is another example. You see, you will notice that we use illustrator a lot, especially those that are teachers, also expositors, and the rest of them. We use that a lot to make emphasis on what we are saying, kind of descriptive action. So placing the finger vertically across the two lips means or tells the other person not to talk or to maintain silence. All these are under illustrator. The last one, the emblems. Emblems are gestures that have precise meanings separate from verbal communication. Nodding your head up and down signals yes. Signals yes. So I think we can do this. I just know that this exam will be fun, but you guys always like complaining. That is the thing. Okay, that pool is enough. Let's end it now and answer the question. So emblems are gestures. Mm, so moving your head side to side signals no. Also, Ogwezi post it that to nod, wave, or shake the head in a particular way tells a story and also directs the recipient on what to do. That brings us to the end of non-verbal communications. Non-verbal communication. We have TMA assessment define verbal communication, define non-verbal communication. So let me drop the two. So you guys, ah, I don't know the problem of this thing. I'm just tired of this. I don't know who want to use their mumu. Okay, so let's see what we can get from here. Yes, we have a very short classwork here to do and to submit it right here. Okay, so let's leave that and go to the next thing we have. Let me see if the next unit is what we'll read or we'll move to module 1 now. Verbal and non-verbal communication comparison. The difference and the interconnection. Oh, I think we need to read that so that we'll just complete everything on verbal and non-verbal. Now, according to Rothwell, there are distinctions between verbal and non-verbal communication. Even a dull man or a dull person will know that one. From what we have just checked on the meaning of verbal and non-verbal communication, we all know that there are differences between them. The only one we may not be able to draw out yet is the similarities they have, but for differences, we know they have differences. Okay, number one, verbal communication possesses the characteristics of language. It has structure, exhibits displacement, productive, and self-reflective. While non-verbal communication do not possess the characteristics of language. One, verbal communication possesses the characteristic of language. For non-verbal is the opposite. The second thing is that verbal communication is structured, non-verbal communication is not structured. You can just come up with any gesture now and it will mean something. So uh, verbal communication exhibits displacement, where the non-verbal does not exhibit displacement because it communicates only about here and now. Here and now. Okay, let me see. If I can behave like no in this question. Let me try to behave like no in this question. So let's try to answer that. Let's try to answer that. Okay, so we have it. So we also have that the the verbal communication, they are productive. The non-verbal can only show minimal productivity. For instance, new gestures for insult, affection, solidarity with others, and the like are created from time to time. That is what we are saying. The field of non-verbal is very common. Even you yourself, you can just come up with something as an action on your own that will mean something within a circle of people that you communicate with. So self-reflective, non-verbal is not self-reflective. Then another one is the number of channels. Single channel, for instance, one can express enthusiasm using the following expressions: wow, hold me back, I am ready to burst with excitement, I can't wait to start my university education. All this shows that a form of readiness, enthusiasm, and excitement. But the number of channels we have for verbal communication, it is single channel. Single channel. What it means is that when you say wow, we expect that you can't say wow now to mean anger. Well, some of you can turn everything upside down the way you like, but in the formal sense, when you say wow, we know that that is definitely is either you are excited or you are enthusiastic about something. It's an exclamation. But in non-verbal this thing, one single action, one single gesture can mean several things. So it is multi-channel, which adds impact and believability. For instance, expression of enthusiasm can be done by jumping up and down, flailing gestures, wide eyes, smiles, expressive tone of voice, rapid utterances, hugs, screams, etc. That's what they're trying to say, that when it is non-verbal, one particular action can be rationed into several interpretations or uses. So for credibility, you can lie with words. It is so verbal communication is less credible because you can lie with words. You can mean something else and say something else. That one is very possible. We understand that. But with non-verbal, it is difficult to lie convincingly in a dozen of non-verbal channels. If the non-verbal channels reveal inconsistent messages, credibility is questioned. If you say, I am telling the truth, but your non-verbal shows the contrary, your audience may tend to believe the non-verbal because it is spontaneous. It happens suddenly on its own. So it's very hard for you to lie with. I mean, when you are sad, you will see it on your face. You don't even need to tell somebody that I'm sad. So, and when you are happy too, even when you are trying to hide it, that happiness will burst out. But with words, you can say, there is this general line in Africa: "What's up? How are you doing? I'm fine." Even somebody that is, if the last Gary that is in his house is just trying to go to Mama Chinedu to get sugar on credit to drink it. I do like that Shunamite woman. Let me eat and die. But the person, you ask the person, what's up, nigga? You say, I'm fine. How are you today? Ah, everything is okay. We lie. But your gesture, the non-verbal, even when you want to lie, okay, I'm telling you how is life treating you. You say life is treating you well, and I look at all your neck, everything is holes everywhere. Even you sef, you look like somebody that for days or months. So even if you tell me that everything has been going well with you, your body that I'm seeing, the gesture on you, everything is showing on you that you are not well. So that is what we are trying to say.